Once I had a wavy. All right, rise and shine, at least on a cloudy day. Hope you guys are doing all right. Welcome to snow, or oops, that was a Freudian slip. Welcome to Storm Talk. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. It happens sometimes, especially this time of the year. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, several of you already commented already that you've been enjoying the rain. It's nice to get some of that rain back in the area without causing a lot of issues, right? So we have one issue with flash flooding last night that we'll cover. And most of the wind damage, and we'll look at the radar, but most of the wind damage reports started to ramp up right at the edge of wave country and then toward Lexington, where they had a couple tornado warnings ended up coming out for that line of storms. We got lucky yesterday, but we knew it was going to be like close to that southeast side there, wave country, whether or not they would fire enough time or not. And we had a few that were getting close, and then they left the wave country zone or whatever, and then went on into the Lexington area, and that's when they got even stronger. So I'm glad it worked out that way, but still allowed for a lot of loud lightning coming into play, which again just adds to a Monday, really, in my opinion. All right, but more on that in a minute. Good morning, everyone. Who was first on YouTube? Weather Geek. Albert, you're close behind. Welcome everybody. Angela said I got 2 inches of rain so far in Ratcliffe. All right, and we'll look at some of those rain totals just from yesterday alone coming up here in just a few more moments, as we do have certainly more rain coming our way for today, and as we have throughout the day tomorrow especially, and then we'll get a nice little break to allow this rain to soak in and get some cooler weather, at least normal weather in the area, and actually have a chance to kind of relax a bit for the weekend. So I love that. Some folks that are going to be loving this, actually, they may not seem like they're going to, would be up at Huber's Orchard and Winery, where at the moment it's the rain's helping because it just adds to a freshening up of the colors. The pumpkins really stand out on a cloudy day, so they really do shine there in Huber's. And once we get those sun rays back again this weekend, I mean, the fields may be a little muddy, but still, overall, this first weekend of fall, I am willing to bet it is going to be absolutely packed there at Huber's coming up as we head into this weekend with temperatures in the 70s and cooler weather, lower humidity. Can't Casper, and much better than that, really. Well, maybe you could, maybe 60s. All right, here's that rain setup from yesterday, and I'll let you guys look at this full screen. And we have the different spikes of rain that came through. The ones last night did train a bit in the evening, hit an area that, needed the rain in a big way, right? Into Taylor County, Adair, and into Greene. You picked up more than 2 inches of rain out of that. Then we had another spike into the evening that also produced some heavier rainfall as you head into Breckenridge, Meade, and at least part of Hardin County. Indiana, you guys had your bands of rain more so earlier in the day. If there are areas that stand out, though, about looking at this map, one would be the lack of heavy rain, and that was across eastern Jefferson or eastern Grayson County, all the way to south of E-Town, LaRue, and to near Bardstown. You had some rainfall, but I'm sure you guys would like a lot more. And there is more coming. So if you have missed out on this first little system moving through here, don't fret. There is another one on the way. All right. So it's not all bad news here. You get into Louisville, and it was really split for Western Jefferson County because we had these cells at lunch yesterday that just kept training over the same spots there for a while, building. So really put down nearly an inch of rain in many spots. About 0.8 was the common number I saw. Southeast Jefferson County a little late into the afternoon before you guys caught in on some of those bands. So your totals were not as high, but everyone got something out of this. But there's no doubt the areas that got the heaviest right here as you head into your New Washington, Indiana, east of Tisco, Hibernia, and the northern side there of Oldham County, really right along the Ohio River. This is where estimates were coming in at over 4.5 inches of rain it fell. So flash flood warning came out last night. Your NOAA radio probably scared you. Did me and Dobie. When it triggered at the middle of the evening there. So just be aware of that heavier rain pocket there, because as you get additional rain today and tomorrow, this could be an area that could easily run into at least some flooding issues, more so Clark County. If you look carefully at the, let me get rid of my squiggles. If you look carefully at this area of the Ohio River into Trimble and northern Oldham, you can see the terrain, all those shadows there. So it is a very hilly area. So typically the rain does run off easily here. So it's hard to get flash flooding in this area. You don't see it very often. You can get a lot of runoff for sure. I mean, even sometimes you can get mudslides in this area. But I think it's the low-lying areas into eastern Clark. I would watch a little more for some of that water flowing. So anyway, we'll be monitoring that. That's your rain setup that had produced the scatter downpours, the very sloppy way to get there, but it got through here, and that's good. This morning, as skies cleared, especially for northern and central Indiana. Adam, I'll saw your comment on that. But the signs were all there yesterday afternoon. The fog was going to be a big issue for Indiana, and still relatively cloudy in Indiana, too, around the edges of wave country. And in Louisville, it's been spotty, little pockets of drizzle. Every once in a while, if you look to the distance, you may even see a little bit of blue sky to the south here, where we have some sun coming out along the parkways and central areas of Kentucky. But we don't have a boundary necessarily in the region right now. So the showers today, they want to form. I mean, there's enough moisture around. They want to pop and develop, but they need help. They need help to be able to climb. If there's no rising motion that is taking place off the ground here, then it's going to be difficult to allow for much action here today. So overall, the daytime coverage of thunderstorms and downpours today is going to actually be fairly low. It's not going to be zero, but it will be very similar to what you see now, just very blotchy, fast moving, small little downpours that'll move on through. Otherwise, you'll get a mix of sun and clouds in some areas today. So where are the storms? Well, that's because we're going to be waiting for the next system to roll in. And boy, this is a very unique look. You look at the configuration here. Here's the low near Wichita. You can see the previous low. It's above the banner, so I'll draw it here because I can't draw on the banner. But there's the tail portion that came through starting on Sunday into yesterday. That's all the way down into here. And then here's, like, if you will, a warm front that is already reaching out, and they're trying to connect. How romantic. They're trying to connect right there into Tennessee and join hands. And then this will become then the main low that we'll be tracking. This one's going to be history. All right, to the east, this will be the main low. It's like a tree, someone wearing glasses. Always draw characters. Maybe I should have done that as a career, work for Disney and just drew characters for Disney. No, probably not a good idea. Okay. Anyway, you see the connecting arm. This is going to be our rain tonight. Once this gets a little more northeast, that'll be our next feature of heavier rains, lightning and thunder. We're not expecting severe, but it could be a loud late night, early morning wake-up call. It can't go much further north to the north and east until this guy, this is the driver's seat, it will actually try to push more east. Until it makes that journey east, that line to the southwest of us will relatively be stuck there. So that's going to buy us a lot of quiet, at least quieter daytime, dry time here today before we get into the active setup tonight. Everyone good on that? Oh, let me put me back on, because I know you all want to see my pretty face. Oh, that was cringe. Why did I say that? Okay, here's Cody. Hi, Cody. We get rain today in Louisville. We got spotty showers in the area now. Hello, Marianne. We got 2 inches there into Memphis. Yeah, you were kind of on that border line back and forth there, right, in Clark, all the way into Southern Scott. Good morning, Alicia from Mount Washington. Good morning to you. Hello, Viola, over into Crawford County. We don't hear from a lot from Crawford County, so I'm glad that you need to get on more often because we need a lot of data from Crawford often, and especially in severe weather. So glad to see you on there. Kay, over into Henry County. Good morning to you. Everyone's good. All right. Everyone's just happy today and saying good morning to each other. You guys are so pleasant. I love it. All right. So that's the game plan. All right. That's the overall synopsis. So now let's dive into the details. Let's get this warm front end. Let's get this low end. Explain how this is going to evolve. Will there be severe weather involved in this? And where do we go as we head into the longer term? And I do have a nugget. I told you I would give you a nugget. I think it's for Adam or Cameron. I can't remember who I talked to. That I would give you just a snippet of the long term that I have not seen. And see if you guys, if you've been paying attention to the blog for years, this is my 20-something year, 25th year, I think, doing the blog. If you've been paying attention to the blog over the years, do you know there is one thing I've been looking for in September that would show up in the data? And it showed up today. It showed up today. And I'm going to show you that toward the end here. But if you can guess it, props to you. I will call you out if I see it. So I'll be paying attention to the chat. All right, let's get right into get rid of the clouds so we can see everything a little clearer, right? Here's the outlook today from the Storm Prediction Center. It's mainly focused on when that low moves a little further south and east today during the max heating of the day in about 4 to 6 hours. This is where we have the warm sector, right? Your little box, always used to draw the American flag in here, right there. But you're into the warm sector spot. If you were to fill this in as a polygon, that's the spot right along the warm front and south and east of the low where severe weather can take place. Now, as that low heads east, the outlook does not include a slight risk. The warm sector is basically like this with a sort of cold front to the south, very ill-defined. But the problem and why they don't have a slight risk for our warm sector is that it is a messy setup because let me rewind this for one frame here. If you remember the way the radar looked here, the warm front is coming in at an angle, right? So this is a very odd angle. As it moves on by, it is going to allow for rain in the morning hours tomorrow through about midday. So by the time we were trying to get into I guess, a pseudo-type warm sector, we're going to have rain-cooled air for several hours. So it's going to be really, really tough to get showers and thunderstorms to really blossom in a warm sector. It's possible if they all align just right. It's not out of the realm of possibilities for sure. So your warm front action as far as downpours should be located close to 64. And then the cold front portion is going to be a little weird because there is a chance that we may end up with a very odd looking setup here into the deep south where thunderstorms could be actually on the radar in this area. And if that is the case, not all models have this, but if that's the case, that will certainly prevent the moisture feed being overwhelming into the warm front, warm sector area, and it cuts down on your severe potential. If anything, they would end up putting a slight down way down here because of that. So there's still a lot of questions on how this is going to look and its configuration when it gets on the map. It's not a clean-cut warm front, cold front deal like we were used to. This one's very sloppy, very, very sloppy mess. So I think our confidence is about the same as yesterday, too low for an alert day on this one. Yesterday, it was a little higher on the confidence just because we knew we were getting some sun in southern Kentucky and how that was going to power up the line heading toward Frankfort and Lexington and the I-75 corridor, where he was going to power up over us and head east. That was pretty textbook in that sense. Today, looking at the outlook for tomorrow, not as looking as a textbook scenario. For now, this could change. We'll see how things evolve tonight. And then tomorrow here on the blog at the same time, we'll let you know where do we stand on this whole thing. Okay. Has anyone said it yet on long term? Triple point. Triple point is where you've got basically different types of fronts in the area. So you actually have the low pressure in the area. I can't draw. You would have a low pressure, you got your warm front, and you've got the cold front. So this is what we call the triple point right there, the path of the low itself. And that is what's going to move right over Kentucky. So that typically means heavy rain. And I think that's likely of all the threats I've seen so far. While severe weather, I can't rule it out. I think heavy rainfall amounts and some localized flash flooding would be more of a threat in this scenario before that I've seen before play out. It's pretty typical on that as well. So that's what they mean by that. Let's see. Snow in the higher elevations, the Rockies. Yep. Okay, I don't think anyone has said it yet. Sort of said it, but not quite. All right, we'll come back to that. All right, let's get into the finer details because I'm already running out of time because I just ramble. There is the closer look at the marginal risk. This will be updated 1:30 today. 1:30 this afternoon, we'll have an update. All right, here's the radar. Kind of a little tough to see the clutter because some of this, because of the fog, kind of messes up everything. So let me just move on from that because there's not much happening. There's only a few light sprinkles out there right now in little pockets, nothing major. All right, for the rest of the day here, we're going to see that trend of spotty showers mixed in, maybe a pocket or two of drizzle, some sun. And if you get enough sun, you could get up to around 80 degrees or even higher. If you don't, then you'll likely stay in the 70s today. It's just going to be very randomized on that. So good luck to you. Right now, Central Kentucky seems to have a better chance to get into that 80 to 83 degree range there. All right, here we are at 10:30 tonight. Here comes the warm front. All right, so here it is, rolling on in. These will be elevated. So what I mean by that, the base is the clouds high up, so you're not as much of a risk on severe wind as you are. A lot of lightning, heavy rain, and pea-sized hail is pretty common in this type of scenario, but that will be rolling in late tonight into early tomorrow, and it'll come in waves. So some of the models are really aggressive on this warm front, being with pockets of heavy rain for the morning commute tomorrow around the Louisville area, some a little more south. That still needs some fine tuning. Just be aware that the rain is ramping up tonight into early tomorrow morning as that warm front moves through. So plan ahead now for a messy drive in the morning, and let's hope there's a little bit of a pocket of dry time for the hour that you need to get out the door and get going. But it is going to be blotchy as these have clusters to them instead of a definitive line. So just be aware of that. Now we get into Wednesday afternoon and late afternoon at that, because there is a time tomorrow, maybe I'm just going to throw some times out, and don't hold me to this, say 12 noon to 5 p.m., that there may not be a whole lot happening. There will be a brief lull because we'll be in the surge of the warm front and then kind of waiting to see what happens with the triple point or the low as it moves on. We start to see reaction to that, of that low, towards sunset. So we do have a gap here. We may get some dry time tomorrow. So I don't want to classify tomorrow as a washout. I don't think that will be the case, but I do think it's going to be an active day. Wednesday night, showers and storms roll in. Now here's where we get into kind of a, well, that went by really, really fast. Let me back this up. Sorry. We get into the afternoon. This is where some of these right along that boundary could be on the strong side late tomorrow night into early hours of Thursday. I'm hoping at this point in the day, being late in the evening, that they'll be elevated again because we've lost the heating of the day. But either way, just take the thunderstorm severity aside. This is a very concerning setup when it comes to heavy rainfall. A lot of lightning. And again, we're going to get some flood advisories, may even get a few flash flood warnings out of some of this mess. I'm kind of backing this forth into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. I'm kind of just sliding it over back and forth just so you guys can see the animation of it. And this is just one model's idea, but you get the idea that it's going to be much more active for Wednesday night into the wee hours of Thursday morning. And then Thursday daytime is not trending too bad. I think the clouds will stick around all day Thursday, and therefore will be the coolest day of the week, but just spotty areas of drizzle and very light rain, maybe a little breezy maybe, but nothing heavy at all. So our heaviest of rain that we're going to be tracking will be at the warm front late this evening into early tomorrow. We'll get a break, and then the main big kahuna will be Wednesday, late afternoon and evening into the wee hours of Thursday. That's how it seems to lay out as a book right now in the storyline, and then we'll get into just spotty showers Thursday and dry it all out from there. All right, rainfall. I think rainfall amounts is next. Yes, these are amounts, and you can see why there's concern for that east-west band that forms wherever that low tracks, because that's where you're going to get like 3, 4, maybe 5 inches of rain. This is additional to what you've already had, by the way. So Clark County, Oldham, Trimble, pay attention. This would put you guys, over 5 inches of rain. And some areas of West Kentucky picked up 3 inches of rain yesterday. So these totals would put them over a half a foot of rain as a grand total. So it just depends on how much you've had as of late. But you can see that track of the low is crucial on where that will be. And some have it more down here, to be honest. Some keep it down and around Grayson County into Greene and Taylor. They don't have it along the Ohio River. I haven't found much in the way of data that says it's going to go north in Indiana, but I have seen a lot more south. We'll take it hour by hour on that, but just be aware. I don't know if it's enough for them to go with a flood watch. It's tough because we've been dry, and you saw how Oldham County got the heaviest of rain, and then you saw parts of Meade County, then also back in Bedford and into Indiana. So it's hard to draw a flood watch when it's only 2 or 3 spots that are more prime for that flooding, while other areas would just soak up the rain. So I understand the challenge of the Weather Service. If you're thinking, why is there no flood watch? That's kind of why it's going to be a little tougher to draw. But it's okay. That's fine. You're watching the blog right now, so you get it. You know what's happening. You know why you would not see that, but you know the rainfall potential that you're facing for your area. Type 3, if you're good on all of that, if that all makes sense to you. Here's the chances today, by the way. Type 3, I want to make sure I see a lot of 3s here. And I'm not going to rule out severe weather tomorrow, just so you know. There you see the Trimble County report. Wavy is crawling it right now on the screen. Wavy's, what's it talking about? Trimble County? Yeah, it's a delayed report. It just came out. So you guys can read that as I'm talking. If you're watching on the app right now, see multiple gravel roads were washed out there in Trimble. Okay. So a lot of reports just not coming in. It's typically the case. It takes a while to get even trees being knocked down. And that makes it tough because we don't issue severe thunderstorm warnings, but the Weather Service can't either if they don't get confirmation on some of this stuff sometimes. So we get all this stuff delayed. So it's kind of frustrating at the same time. All right, a lot of 3s. Everyone's okay. I think I saw 4. Not sure what that means. All right, good. All right, so again, that's how it's all going to lay out in the short term. I'm going to move along fast here. Here's the rain chance today. Relatively low, much of the day. But late tonight, boom, there we go. Was it boom goes the dynamite? Who said that? Neapolitan ice cream? Is that who said that? And then as we get into Wednesday, highest rain chances early on in the day. There's that brief lull that'll happen tomorrow afternoon, and then there's the spike again tomorrow night with the actual low moving through, with some of that being rain and thunderstorms. All right, so what happens after this? Well, there is a little bit of a bump in the forecast, and that's because we will have one organized tropical wave. I'm not sure if it's going to be, Gabrielle's going to be turned out to sea. So this could be Umberto at this point. But we'll have one tropical system out to sea, and then we'll have this little wave here, more of a tropical wave, that wants to spin up and kind of break free and drift into the Appalachians and then fall apart. Typically in that zone, it is tough to get rain on the other side of the mountains like that. The Euro keeps wanting to do that. I'm a little suspect that it's going to be able to get much in the way over to us over the mountains and that kind of a flow, but it may at least increase the clouds. We'll see. This will be toward the end of the weekend and early next week that low tries to do something. Very similar to what we had, was it last week? We had that southeast low and it threw in a lot of high clouds. Close. This is probably a tropical storm or hurricane too, by the way, but that would be curving out to sea, so I'm not worried about that. This is a separate little wave of moisture, but it's kind of a thorn in the forecast because it could mess up cloud cover and temperatures even at the end of the weekend, early next week. After it moves on by, well, we see that disintegrate, which is good, but then we've got to wait for what I think is going to be a significant trough. I don't know yet if it will be the true season changer front, but signs are there that it does want to drop down near the 7th to the 10th of October. As it does so, it will likely be accompanied with thunderstorms, but this tropical mess that's out here in advance of it is kind of in charge. So if this can mess up the flow, then this will mess up our season changer front and messes up the whole forecast in the first 10 days of October. But either way, I still see colder shots of air dropping down at least 2 to 3 times in October, but I still see warm surges and I do see thunderstorms in October. So it's going to be a kind of a mix of everything. Let me show you the 10-day. Oh, hold on. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Here's the nugget. Do you see it? Hope you weren't paying attention. Rain snow line is not in our area, by the way. That is just cool weather is the blue. It's just showing the cool temperatures, and the red being fuel. I'll be switching over to wintertide mode soon here on the Euro, so we get back to the rain snow line, that kind of stuff. It's still kind of a mix of summer and fall mode that I draw this on. If you're wondering about all the colors. Okay, there you go. All right, so for the first time, I'll talk about this a lot on the winter forecast, not just in the winter forecast, StormTALK in general on the blog. I always talk about looking at the matrix. Well, it's a pseudo matrix. Looking at any potential for snow down the road, right? Well, I always end StormTALK whenever the Euro ensemble stops with any member showing a snowfall chance. And that's when I end StormTALK. It's not the model of all models, but it's always worked well for me to kind of go with that kind of a benchmark. And at the same time, whenever I do look at it, and here's the Euro again, because I backtrack. When I did look at the ensemble today, for the first time this fall season, one ensemble, one by itself, on November 3rd and 4th shows flurries. Maybe a small dusting there. I don't know. It's one model member, number 24, I think it is there, or 22. I don't know. Pulling straws, right? Hey, look, if you're a snow lover, this is the kind of stuff that gets you excited because it tells you the atmosphere is getting colder and colder, and the fun and games are about to begin, and the stress. So there you go. The first signs are out, guys. Aren't you excited? All right, here we go with the 10-day, and I got to run. You can see we've got the 80s today, 70s again with that active setup tomorrow with showers and thunderstorm potential there. Look at that rain total, by the way. See at the bottom from Wavy, 6.2 is what that number ended up being in Trimble County. 6 inches of rain last night. So you can see with the outlook of another 3 to 4, that could put them at 10 inches of rain by Wednesday. So if you're not area, just be weather aware, guys. I know it's a high terrain area, but you can get into those not giant mudslides, but you can get some mudslides in some of those roadways there. The weekend, we'll keep it dry and pleasant. Nice looking weekend. We get into next week. There is a downward trend on temp just because high pressure moves in and it's going to try to give us cooler weather without any rainfall. But just beyond the 10 days when we get into maybe a stronger system. But that's going to take a few days in the 10-day for us to even sort out. All right, guys. Any last thoughts? Everyone's good? November 3rd. Lock it in, Adam. Lock it in. Everyone's good. All right. You guys are chilling. Go watch some Harry Potter movies today. I mean, it's a good day for that, right? Just lay on the couch, watch TV kind of thing. And stay safe if you have to venture out and get ready for a messy travel day tomorrow. Not so much today, but tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a messy day on travel. So please just kind of plan accordingly. I'll see you guys come up at midday at 11 a.m. Take care, everyone.